All right, good morning, guys. How we doing? Time to get down to it. It's a big week for GameStop. We've got our earnings tomorrow after market, so pretty pumped about that. But let's take a look at whew, the market. In green, looking green, looking green. Holy moly, oil. OPEC leading the way. Energy. OPEC made people happy this weekend. Looks like. Hmm. Good morning, Techie. What's up? Wow, 4:30, bang on. You were here, man. That's impressive. And Herr Lattis. Guten Morgen. Don't let this face fool you. I am very excited for this week. I'm pumped for GameStop's earnings. I really am. I'm excited to see what happens with them. Um, just want to make sure that this is working here. Yep, it's working. Sweet. Okay. All right, so let's see. A couple of new Delmar, blah 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 blah. No revisions on GameStop, I don't think. All right, let's see what we got. What's up, Boris? How you doing, man? Um, Not as much. Start of May, I really made a point to double down on bio, so long equity bio. However, I take a look at absolutely everything, and if you're going to be in the market, you need to have at least a general knowledge of kind of what the landscape looks like. So you can't escape oil. I definitely do still read up on oil, but as far as detailed insights into anything outside of MRO, I wouldn't be able. MRO in total, I wouldn't really be able to give you any detailed insights. But that's part of the fun of the stream. Is if you guys want me to deep dive into oil, I can name a company and I'll take a dig at it. Just pulling up the news, guys, seeing what's here. Okay, so that's FDA approvals, orphan designation. Okay, there's orphan drug designation done. What else we got? Nothing really for MFA Financial. All right, let's check it out. What do we got? Aramco, Saudi dollars. What are they doing? Guess we want this. Want to clear. No, edit this list. This can go. This isn't on here. This can go. This can go. Genus. Nicola. Saudis are throwing dollars at an Islamic ETF. That's interesting. Come on, load it up. This is just good knowledge to have of the industry that the education industry is starting to grow and starting to move. I think that's a big deal. So this gentleman's argument is China will do well unless the U.S. opens up, and the U.S. is to blame for a resurgence, which is an interesting argument. The issue with that article is that that journalist actually believes the numbers coming out of China. All right, MBRX got an upgrade. That's good. Me likey. Spy's making its way to 320. We might see Spy 320 today. Mm, I think they're largely going to be unmoved. I don't think the U.S., with its reopening, is seeing any need to do an extensive alteration to the interest rates. I don't think it wants to raise interest rates because it likes that the money's flowing back into the economy at the moment. I don't think it wants to. I don't think it wants to reduce them any further because we're not going to go to negative rates. So I think ultimately it's not going to be such a huge deal. I think it's going to be a kind of a non-issue. Privately held company can't do much with that. This is big. Instead of you having to take a pill daily, an injection every 2 months could have the same effect in stopping HIV. It's a long-acting injection. Hmm. Just trying to find the company that makes this and see if they have a stock, but it doesn't look like they do. Hmm. The abortion pill's so dangerous it needs a rare safety requirement. Thoughts on the airline industry? I think that the resurgence is too far too fast. I think we're not going to really see the return on the airline industry. I don't think we're going to really know whether the industry's back or not until we dive into the summer and see what travel looks like. Are people actually going to hit the air or are they going to hit the road? If people hit the air, then all right. But people hit the road. This is kind of cool, guys. This one here, this is impressive for me. So Fitbit shifted and started to make ventilators. That's the Fitbit ventilator. Hmm, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's relatively low considering that they just came out with an FDA approved ventilator. Hmm. I think this is a bigger deal than what's being made of it. Something about an acquisition by Google here. That's gonna be a big deal. Mmm. I like this. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. I mean, the other thought I have on airlines is I would be willing to get on a plane right now. It's not a huge concern for me, but to be honest, guys, even through the lockdown, this has never been a real legitimate concern for me. Um, I think that there's a lot of fear. I think that there's a lot of people that are more inclined to lean to fear on this. And being in a tight space with hundreds of other people is too much for people to handle. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really, really shocked. We've got major airlines like Air Canada up here that are saying that if they are required to give a refund for all the tickets they canceled, they will go bankrupt. And it's like, well, okay, I'm pretty sure all those pissed off people aren't going to fly your airline anytime soon either. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's so many factors in it, but the recent rise to fame and stardom on the positions that, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The other thing I wanted to check out here, guys, was people are saying that they are having a hard time finding me, and I just want to make sure. Okay, it is public. Okay, good. Ooh. Okay, so this goes on the list. This is an options play. You wouldn't be able to play this on equity. Well, I wouldn't be able to play this on equity, but that's definitely an options play that Macrogenics picked up an orphan drug designation. Um, Gastric cancer. COVID hitting a second wave. So I mean, there's a bunch of different, and this is the problem: is that the headlines have this second wave thing, and the reality is this: what are we talking about? Are we talking about flu season coming back around? Because that's inevitable. That's going to happen, and we still don't have a vaccine. So, if COVID, well, it varies slightly from the flu, is going to come back in force in the next flu season. That's going to happen. That's an eventuality. My bigger concern is as we've tried to throw everything in the pharmaceutical world at this thing, we're going to see several mutations. That would be my bigger concern is the mutations that we don't get just another wave of COVID-19. We get potentially a wave of COVID-19 and the flu and a COVID-20 or 19A, B, and C. That would be my bigger concern, and that is a legitimate concern that I have going into Q4. So that's something that I'm watching very, very closely. Any studies that are popping up in regards to that, Chesapeake must have done another reverse split or something because there's no way that it's gone back up to $34. Yikes. $8, $24. Stay away from this, guys. I know that you see it rising, and just general disclaimer because I haven't done that yet today, but it's not financial advice. But this company is fraudulent. This company is dangerous to be near. This company resplits on the regular. Please, 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 if you're going to go anywhere near Chesapeake, please be very, very, very cautious about what you're doing. Let, let, meow. What it says about COVID is COVID, like most flu strains, doesn't thrive in the heat. As things warm up, it doesn't like that. And this is something that's very common in flu season, right? This is why as soon as things start to get rainy and kind of crappy, we see the flu explode because it likes kind of that cool, damp environment in order to thrive. That's all it says about COVID right now. We expected to see this decline, uh, and we had hoped to see a bigger decline actually. So let let. So while the initial incline has stopped at this rate, exponential growth can never be forever. But what you are seeing is we're still increasing. That's still a new peak, right? So the peaks and the valleys are fine, but the valleys are new highs and the peaks are new highs. We're still increasing. Russia, Pakistan, Mexico, Bangladesh are leading the way right now. Czech, Brazil, okay. South America, Brazil. 800 new deaths. Total deaths per million. Ecuador actually has a worst deaths per million. Because they got so many people. Million tests. Yeah, so a couple thoughts that I have on that are it depends on who they allow to get tested. So if they're only offering tests to those who are symptomatic, that may be a reason for this, where why you're seeing that lean towards the positive. Is because they're not testing everybody; they're just testing the people that are symptomatic, which would cause that skew. I'm not sure what Brazil's current policy is. They have done significantly fewer tests than many of their counterparts. So, Peru has actually done more tests, but you look at their population, they're a fraction of the population, right? So Peru only 33 million in the country. Tests per million, 36,000, 37,000 in Chile. Um, Brazil only 4,000. Like this is a very low number here. So similarly, yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at how Brazil is actually doing the testing. Um, this is good news. Mostly peaceful protests as curfew is lifted. Minneapolis is has the intent to disband their police department, so that'll be an interesting social experiment. So DGLY was one that I talked about last week, and with the are they the leader in that industry? No, but they do have several tools that make them very appealing: dashboard cameras, body cameras, tasers. So we called. I called DGLY out before their meteoric rise. I think they were $2 or something when I was talking about them, dollar something. Yeah, so we were talking about them when they were. Let's go a week. We were talking about them here, the $1.97, and then it did this thing here. Now they're 361. Oh man. Um, this company is a good long hold. They're a good long hold to have in a portfolio. That's my thought. That's my opinion. You guys should do your own due diligence, but on the basis alone of non-lethal law enforcement devices, so uh, essentially a taser, but a little bit different. Body cameras and dashboard cameras, those are all things that are going to be in high demand, at least for the next little bit. Most people, I think, can expect to see those as a staple of law enforcement moving forward. So DGLY, I think it's a good long hold. You should probably go do that. Never want to hold that back. So this is interesting. They're going to remove the police force and allow the communities. Later. See, this would be my concern is that we go too far to the other side because if you take a city, so population of Minneapolis, right? You take a community that size of 425,000, okay? 425,000 people. Um, you're saying you're going to leave this up to communities to look after themselves. You run into problems of okay, so who's got the ability to make an arrest? Who has the training to make an arrest? Who has the tools to make an arrest? Where does the funding go? How do you divide that funding? Do you divide that funding by sheer body size, or do you divide that funding by crime rate? All right, let's head to Twitter, see what's going on over there. What are you guys watching today? Visual art graphics. Thank you so much for the follow, man. Much appreciated. Okay, so Merker Top Immune merged with privately held Marker Therapeutics, yada yada yada. Oncology pipeline. Let's take a look at what CCL is doing. Okay, so cruise lines is a lot like airlines. Let's check the rates on cruise lines, shall we? This is extremely low. They're really trying to get people in here. Let's take a look at the last minute deals. ORBC. $8 average on the analysis. Yeah, I mean, it's got room to go. It's got room to go for sure. Charts. I mean, it's not back up to pre-COVID yet. There's definitely room for this to double. People laugh, Dunhill. People laugh when I diamond hands that thing, but there it is. It was at 4:30 earlier this morning. CCL's up to 25. Nice. Google says 451. Okay, let me take a look. GME 444, 421. This is real time here. 421, 444. But even still, an increase at all is welcome news, right? I think people just aren't sure. They're not even with the reports that came out, they're just not sure what to make of it. And because nobody is telling them this is the way to go, or it's just more of the same, I don't know. I feel like the numbers are showing me that they're going to surprise people. I that's definitely the inclination that I've got. It's that they are going to surprise people come earnings. Okay, last minute deals. 14-day, 7-night from Vancouver. I mean, that's dirt cheap. $100 a night that includes free excursions, free internet, free booze. Like they're giving it all away. They're just giving it away. 83 a night. Deking MGM. My thoughts are I really like deking more. Um, with MGM, the risk that you run is that we get a resurgence into Q4 and we see a decline. So, guys, as always, for those of you that are new here, typically what I'm going to give you is a 12-month forecast. I'm not going to tell you to play for the day. I'm not going to tell you to play for the week. I'm not going to tell you to play for the month. Even the quarter will be rare. Most of the plays that I've got are 12 months out. I'm looking a year ahead. So with the MGM, one of my big concerns is yes, these casino stocks are up now, but if we get another COVID resurgence, it'll go back down below 10. If we've got a lockdown close up shot, it'll go below 10. Add on top of that all this tension with China and how much MGM is tied to their Macau properties, it makes things a little iffy. Whereas DraftKings isn't tied to physical buildings. So in the event that, like, you see how there's no dip, not really. I mean, like, this is a little dip, I guess. This is their COVID dip, though. That's the extent of it. I think DraftKings is a much better long hold through COVID because they're going to be one of the few games in town if we get a resurgence. If not, they're going to keep doing what they're doing, right? As sports open up, they'll be more popular. They've got esports as part of their portfolio where most people don't have that. DraftKings is kind of a big beast. Um, yeah, that's my thought on DraftKings MGM. All right, let's see what we got going on. Not much new from Yahoo. Record drop in industrial production. Remember, guys, this ties to Nikola as well, right? Nikola's only manufacturer is in Germany right now. Sri Lanka is suffering. Yikes. Million mile contemporary contemporary the heck was it? Amperex technology. Amperex technology. Not traded on the Nasdaq. Million mile battery. Can you imagine? Can you imagine hopping in a Tesla and only having to recharge every million miles? Crazy. Not publicly traded. Guess we should take a look at Genus and Nikola this morning, see what they're up to. Nikola's up to 43. I think we get an announcement sometime today about the offering from Nikola here. Looking for on Nikola is for there to be this offering anytime soon. It was in the filing initially, um, past 24 hours. Nikola being able to trade in the EU pushes the price higher, so that's what's happening right now. Yeah, I mean, I think that this thing falls hard and it falls fast when that offering comes out. But we will see. Genus 630, so it's still up. Interesting. GME looks like it, or Genus looks like it's just kind of going sideways right now. It's not really booming. Interesting. This is saying 450 as well as of 508, but as of right now, I guess 449 if it's going off the ask. So the market as a whole today, like we're looking at the SPY heading in, and we're up over the 320. It looks like it's going to be a green day. I think the market is just, or we're in that greed mode again. And unless there's something very serious that comes out to knock it, I think we're going to continue to see it rise. Now, my big concern with that is if we just let this get legs under it and it moves too far too fast, and then we get a resurgence, if something bad happens, I think we stand to lose all that we've gained. I think we stand to see this go back down to some absolutely insane number by January. Um, Spy. I mean, I am tempted to just go find some, to just go find, what is this? January. That's crazy. January 115's on the Spy, $1.32. Like, what? Nuts. What about to the other side? Okay, so look, for me, this gives some idea of what the market sentiment is right now. Okay, so you look at the options and what the current pricing is. Um, we're looking at like 60 cents for it to go 450. Now, granted, 450 would be mind blowing all time highs, right? Um, but to the other side, 115 sounds nearly damn impossible, right? And it's still $132 an option. Uh, sorry, you guys want to be able to see that. So down here is what we're looking at, guys. This area over here, right down here. Um, so 115, the puts are $1.32. So $132 a contract. Up here, 66. The market may be happy here and now, but they're still very hesitant about what's coming down the pipeline. Very, very hesitant. It looks like a green day right now, though. I'm not seeing anything in the news. I'm not seeing anything in the headlines that indicates that it would be a down day. Oxy's back up on that's on oil. Oil had a good weekend. Gilead's meh. Chesapeake is a joke. LK. Yikes. Committed fraud, $2. Back up to 643. So scary. Ooh, MRO is doing well. That's good to see. How is Waiter doing today? Down. Yeah, I mean, I think people are just missing the point here on Waiter. I think what they need to come to realize is, um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It scares me, right? It scares me to see people diving into these companies that we know are fraudulent, that we know have a history and a track record of being entirely fraudulent in their reporting, in their behaviors. It's concerning for me, and I just don't want to see people get burned. So everybody's make your own place, do your own due diligence. That's all there, but I that people would be unaware. They're like, "Wow, Luck and Coffee. I guess that it's not fraudulent because of whatever, right?" Well, um, just because the people that committed the fraud have left the company doesn't mean that there's not a systemic condition of fraud. You're here for the face cam. Where did the face cam go? Oh, there it is. There. Okay. Um, I don't know about you guys, but doesn't look like 6 feet apart to me. I'm all for the protest, by the way. I'm just saying that the concern for COVID is dwarfed in the face of real world problems, and people are just biting the bullet on it. That's the way it's going to be. Are they wearing masks? Probably. Are we going to see increase in numbers as a result of this? Probably. Probably. Hong Kong calls are just getting drowned out. Morning. Morning. They dunked a statue. Okay, so guys, with the statue, you've been following the tweets. Sweet. So the reason why LK is that volatile is it fell on commercial fraud. It's resurging because they've been allowed to relist because they fired the people that were responsible. You can see it going back down because what they find is, well, I think they just get delisted if they get caught again. The dunking of the statue, guys, just to be clear on that, that gentleman that you saw getting dunked, where is he? This guy here? He had a statue built because he was a philanthropist. Okay, so what that means is he was a rich dude way back when. He built hospitals, he built schools. He was responsible for a lot of the social programs in that area of the UK. Now, what the people who put up the statue failed to realize when they gave him the statue was, well, they didn't fail to realize it; they just didn't care. But when that statue was built, so this man built his entire wealth on the slave trade. He was responsible for 60 to 80,000 slaves. So he built all of the wealth and subsequently the community that those people currently live in, at least the foundation of that community, off of dollars from the slave trade. So the removal of that statue is on the basis of dude made money on slave trade. So Kyle Davis, good morning, stock traders. Yeah, he was a big he was one of the big boys. So I mean that's I'm all yeah, I mean that is what it is, you know what I mean? Um and it's been a point of contention for a long time. It is what it is. Anyways, the back and forth on the statue was some in the community said, well, this community wouldn't exist. Like Bristol wouldn't be what it is without this guy. And well, that's true. That's I mean, in my mind, that's akin to saying like Germany wouldn't be what it is without Hitler. You know what I mean? Like, okay, just because that's a truth doesn't mean that that's something that we need to celebrate. Um, and that's the beauty of freedom of speech, Kyle. Is everybody's got their own opinion. And that's why there was a debate for so long. That's why that statue still stood, was because there was such a debate around it. Um, Now, as far as like, well, what about founding father statues, right? 'Cause that comes into question frequently in the States of, well, what about the founding fathers? Because they owned slaves. Does that mean that we should remove their statues as well? Like Lincoln, Jefferson, Washington, should their statues be taken down as a result? And for me, what we're dealing with is two very different issues. What you're dealing with is somebody whose wealth was principally created. I think what you're doing is yeah, I mean that's what I want to get to with the founding fathers argument is with the founding fathers. There's a lot of people calling for statues of Washington or Lincoln or Jefferson to be removed on the basis of they owned slaves, and I think that that's a very different animal. Where you're talking, okay, well, Washington, Jefferson, and Lincoln are remembered for some very very different things. They're not remembered for um, one of the largest slave trading companies in the world and being the head of it. So. Um, Ha, Frau Kulis. I get it. That's a German joke. I love it. Love it. All right, all right. What do we got going on? Seeking Alpha. Rally set to continue at the Open, so we're still looking. Yikes. Samsung leader may be heading back to jail. Resignations of the New York Times. Biggest movers this morning? Well, what we're looking at right now on StockTwits is MRO's up 18%, Nicola's up 21, Oxy's up 20. I think we see the gas industry take a run today. So MRO, USO, USL. Wonder how Total's doing. Total's up a little bit. Looks like cruise lines, airlines, Boeing's big day is coming up, so it'll probably slow down a little bit. Um, let's pop open the scanners and see if they're picking up anything yet. Yeah, nothing really yet on the scanners. Yeah, that should feel good. That should feel good. ACRX is the other one I want to keep watching because it had some good moves on Friday. Mm-hmm. Okay. Um. So yeah, MRO is up 20%. I just it, guys, yeah, I try not. I try to keep my biases really, really tight, but I don't know. This is always the number in my mind, right? Um, oh, this is Canada. I want. I really just want a number here. I don't want to spend $2,500 on a report. Okay, opioid market. People are that papega. People are. People are definitely that papega. Um, when you see a big name like Icon get out of his position entirely, it's because he recognizes that that company model is in severe risk of just completely dissolving. People see things come back on the market and they go, oh, okay, well, LK is back. Oh, Hertz is back. We should just get in and enjoy it. And I mean, for the people that are the day traders, fine, I guess. I mean, you have to realize guys like Icon aren't trading for a day. They're not looking to get in and out in a day. What they're looking to do is hold positions for an extremely long period of time. Okay, and when you see them exit their position, the reason for that is acknowledgement that in the long term, 12 months or longer, usually it's decades that they're planning on. He's getting a little old, so I don't know about decades, but maybe decade. He's not concerned about the stock price today or tomorrow. He's looking at it years down the road and saying, is this still going to be viable? And it's not. It's absolutely not. Hertz makes its bread and butter on airlines. So while airline stock price is going up, ticket sales aren't. And that's what needs to happen. So this is why I'm so excited about ACRX, guys. Here's the opioid market size: 25.4 billion. Okay, 25.4 billion. Now imagine short acting opioids. So this is where we are right here. This beautiful example here. Um, 6 out of 10 deaths due to opioid overdose. Okay, um, this is the problem that ACRX has solved. Um, Opioids for cough suppression. Yikes. Um, so ACRX is exciting for me because they've got a replacement to morphine. That's just a huge deal for me. There's certain things that pop up on my radar that get me pumped. Another one would be GNPX, where they're talking they've got a cure for type 1, type 2 diabetes. That's a big deal, right? Those are the kind of things that just it gets you thinking. It turns the crank a little bit. Martini's awake and tweeting. South Korea's market has recovered. Yeah, yeah, I saw that this morning. And so even in saying that, even in Minneapolis coming out and saying that we're getting rid of police, right? And them saying that, the question is, okay, well, disbanding the police force doesn't solve the problem, right? Um, so Minneapolis crime rate, 100 is the safest. So this is safer than 4% of U.S. cities. So pretty dangerous. Fairly dangerous city to live in already. Okay, so you're looking at a city that is you get a 1 in 23 chance of becoming a victim of a violent crime. That that's bad. Yeah. So my biggest concern is okay. So you're going to remove a police force from a city where 1 in 23 have a chance. 1 in 123 people have a chance of being the victim of a murder, rape, robbery, or assault in that city. And you're going to take the police presence out of that city and trust the community to govern itself. My next question is okay, well, so let's put that into place. Let's say communities are responsible for governing themselves, policing their own communities. Great. So these areas here that are high crime centers, with the funds that you were putting in, no, so it's the opposite of martial law. Martial law is when the military comes in, right? This is they're saying it'll be community driven enforcement. Great. So who's going to train those people? Who's going to designate who enforces the law? Does everybody look after themselves and their neighbor? If that's the case, or do we see a rise in self defense? Do we see a rise in shootings due to self defense or stabbings due to violent crimes, essentially? But they won't be crimes because they'll be self defense. Do we see funding flow into the communities? They haven't answered any of these questions. And that's why the vote that they had, I'm not demeaning it for its symbolism, but the actual political work behind that didn't come with that vote. There was no clarity as to, okay, well, if we defund the police department and we remove them, then who are you going to call? So you don't call 911 in the event of a murder or somebody gets shot or there's a fire or there's a uh, uh, an accident. You don't have police to show up. You just have to hope that people around you are going to be good people and help you out. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'm really not sure how that's going to work out. And especially when you're doing that in an area that is already facing such a huge amount of violent crimes. Um, we often talk about the pendulum swing, right? Too far one way, too far the other. A corrupt police force that's murdering people, that's it's too far one way. Removing the police force altogether, that's too far the other. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. Am I trading pre-market at all? No. My positions are long equity. Typically, my positions are locked in. It's very rare that I take a new position. So I do mostly just analysis. My position's already locked in. My holdings are there. That's where we be. Seeing some positive growth on Mercer today. ACRX would be great if it continued moving up today. MBRX looks like it wants to move up a little bit. Um, Waiter's a long hold. It's up from the 212 at least. So, yeah. I mean, it's a hold day for me. Where I'm not really an options trader, so I'm not really concerned about the day play. I'm not a day trader either. I like the long hold equity plays. They've performed quite well for me in the past, and I think they will continue to perform quite well. Yeah, this time in the pre-market is really to break down what's going on where in the world, see what potential plays could be in there, and then break down any stocks that you guys want me to look at and give some insights into. I think that million-mile battery announcement is terrible, terrible for Nikola. Absolutely awful. Dubai's financial hub invests in four fintech startups. HCL, HCA Healthcare received more than 7 billion in profits over the past 2 years. It's worth 36 billion. Its chief executive 26 million. Received a billion in bailouts. I mean, you want to discourage people from doing things like, what do you want me? What would I just don't understand what they want? Like, what do you want? These guys are giving up half their salary. They're giving millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And you're saying, well, yeah, but that's not enough. They need to give away more of their their earnings and their owings. And it's like, well, they're not required to give anything, right? They're not required to give a single penny, and that they've opted to is, I mean, good for them. Yeah, so I mean, that's just a little nutty for me. Just a little bit nutty for me. It's going to discourage it, right? Like, oh well, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. Like, we try to give a couple million bucks, and it's not enough. You want more, like. All right, we won't give you anything. How many CEOs of major corporations did nada? Did nothing. Callan Petroleum. Yeah, oil's gonna move. Oil's gonna move. Um, Oil's gonna move. See, this is funny. These guys that come out there like, do your research. Read the entire 10K. There is an offering inbound. But I always like having those there so I can come back to and be like, hmm, hmm, hmm. $1 billion cash on hand is not enough for Nikola. They need more than that. Interesting. Take a look at this. This is the office post COVID. This is the plan. You literally, cubicles are gone. You will literally work in pods. You will live in. That is the worst name I've ever seen for something. Workentine. Workentine. Ventilation fans with built-in air purifier. Handless airtight acrylic door controlled by facial recognition. Acrylic skylight. Work unit with control panel, door and ventilation. Hexagonal body made of hygienic non-porous materials. Nutty. Nutty. Ah. I mean, guys, honestly, would you rather remote work or have a fancy cubicle like that? See if I can't get myself a free RV. Oh, you gotta be a US resident. Boo. That's too bad. That's too bad. 14-day quarantine on international arrivals. Essentially killing international travel. Yeah. Yeah, right. That's just it. Like, oh, I know. I want to go on a great summer vacation to England. Oh, wait. I need to actually take 3 weeks off of work because, the 14-day quarantine. So if I actually want my week of vacation with my family, we need to take 21 days instead of 7. You're cool with that, though, right? Like, oh boy. Ugh. Ugh. Yep. I'm just looking. I was just interested with the energy sector being what it is. Yeah, there's the mayor speaking some common sense into that of like there are issues and there needs to be reform and there needs to be some community initiatives, but disbanding and abolishing a police department is not a good idea. All right, what else we got? Tokyo Olympics. No, we did not. AstraZeneca is just a beast. Um, there's this news about a possible merger with Gilead. There's this news. There's this news. There's okay. So, uh, informally got in touch with Gilead. AstraZeneca has a market cap of this. Gilead has a market cap of that. Should a deal happen, it would surpass the BMY Celgene at 74 billion. It would be the largest ever healthcare merger between the two companies. Very much doubt that's going to happen. China in thick of race for COVID vaccine. Um, This is just cancer news. AstraZeneca pairing with a cancer company. This is a bold claim. This Oxford University AZD. It's interesting that they're calling it AZD 1222 because the MBRX one is WP 1122. Super close. So this number looks big when compared to April, but in reality, compared to March, it's not that huge of a gain, right? In March, they sold 10K. Now it's 11K. This is just them returning to numbers that are actual numbers. And the reason why Tesla didn't respond for comment is because Tesla's counting actual deliveries and the CPCA uses its own metrics. Um, what does Tesla look like? 895 this morning. SPY's still up over 320. This is interesting. Marker's already up above its average volume for the day. I need Waiter to go today. I need GameStop to go today. GameStop's already making some good gains here. Market hasn't even opened. MRO is doing well. IMMP is doing well. MBRX could use a little love. I don't want to become famous. Thanks for offering, though. Bye. Yikes. Some people, they don't ever learn. Never, never, never. I don't think it's bad to buy in pre-market if you know why you're buying. One of the rules that I have with investing is not to take a position in the first 15 minutes of any market. You can exit a position, but I don't enter a position 15 minutes into the market because of the volatility boost, because of how quickly things move. So if you are 100% certain, and nobody can ever really be 100% certain, so let's say 99% certain of the movement of a certain stock into the open, pre-market pre-market positions make sense. So for example, Oxy, right? Oxy's up 24.40 right now. If you were able to take a pre-market position on this, or even an aftermarket position on Friday, you would have got in around the $20 mark. It's up 24 already. Imagine we see this finish around 27 or 28 today. So if you're aware of the movement, I don't think it's a bad idea, Fury. I don't. But again, you have to be fairly certain of it. For me, I wouldn't take a pre-market trade. I also wouldn't enter a position in the first 15 minutes of the market. So I don't know that Tesla hits 1,000 this week. I think that's a bit ambitious. Yeah, I think that's a bit ambitious. Like, given the run that it's had here, I think that's a bit ambitious for it. 52-week high is 917. So, I mean, aim for that. Aim for the 52-week high, but like this was the height of the economy. This is the highest it's ever been. The best time to buy is always now. But even when I say now, oh, excuse me, your point of entry is so vital for you to understand. You have to have a clear grasp of when you plan on getting in. Set your price points, know your entry, know the value, know the growth, and that's a great way to go with it. See what else Reuters has. People don't like the idea of AstraZeneca merging. Yeah, I mean, I called DGLI before market on Friday as having the potential to go. I see that it did. I think that as protests and riots calm down, the hype around it will definitely calm down. But I think ultimately it's a $10 stock if you're looking at 12 months out, trifecta. Any stocks you recommend right now, considering I'm still learning and looking at airlines? So, as somebody who does this online, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't recommend stocks to you. What I recommend is that you trade in the sectors that you know. Okay, so Fury, what do you do professionally? Just a sector. You don't have to be like, this is my job, but what sector do you work in? Where's your job? Okay, so martial arts instructor. Okay, so fitness, let's say health and fitness would be a good area for you because you understand a little bit about how that industry works, what it's looking at. It's not a one to one with gyms, but it's definitely close to it. So if I were you and I was looking at health and fitness, I'd be looking at things like wearable tech, so things like Fitbit, right? Consider things like Peloton. How relevant are those? Um, Things like Planet Fitness, right? Things like I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this, but Herbalife. Um, my recommendation is either to trade in the industry that you're most knowledgeable in, and that's often the industry that you work in, or uh, really dial in on a single industry that you want to know more about. So everybody's talking about airlines, cruises, casinos, vaccines. There's a lot of those flavor of the months that are dropping as a result of COVID or the protests or wherever we are. The reality is what you want to do is trade what you know, and if you don't feel like you really know something or you don't see how that directly applies to the market, pick a single industry and just work there, stay there, learn how to read your use Edgar as a tool. So SEC filings, go to sec.gov company search like this. And let's say airlines is what you want to do. So you go AAL, right? Here's American Airlines. Here's all the filings that they have. Learn how to read these filings. Learn, like, when you see these filings, you're going to look at them and see the numbers. And eventually you're going to learn, okay, I get it. 8K means that they've announced something. What did American Airlines announce? They announced, come on. So here's their 8K filing, and all the 8K is that they made a public announcement. Um, Okay, so here's the press release. Bringing on summer, they're planning to fly more than 55% of its July 2019 domestic capacity. So they're at half capacity. Lounge service as of June 22nd, Admiral Clubs, 10 key cities. Removing change fees on flights booked in June. Awarding double advantage miles. So April, 65% reduction, 80% reduction in May. We're looking at 110,000 passengers. Slow but steady rise in domestic demand. This doesn't address international flights. And right there, international demand is slower to return. Service resumes in August for most of the European countries, so that'll be towards the end of summer. Most travel will be done by that point, or summer vacations. But August will be a big month for airlines with that resuming. Latin America, August is the soonest for Latin America. So that gives you a view of AAL, right? So if you go over to AAL right now, does it look like a stock that is flying at half capacity? No. Look at this. It's trying to come back to where it was when it was at 100% capacity. And they just don't have the numbers for that. So this is just the hype right now. I think we see a decline on their next earnings because people are going to be blown away at how bad this was. So if you're an options player, you may look at taking a put there. Yeah, I mean, yikes. This rise is unwarranted, given that it can't fly internationally and domestic flights are only flying at half capacity. Um, Yikes. So you can look at anything. I mean, this is where this tool. This is the Securities and Exchange Commission. This is available to everybody. So you can just come to Edgar, go to that link that I threw in there, and type in CCL, and it'll all be there for you. Their 8Ks are their public announcements. Their 10Qs, 10Ks are their quarterly filings. Um, this SC13G is somebody took a large stake in the company. Um, this S8 is that employees are going to be offered stock. We open up the documents on this. This is from, I mean, this is from April. CCL doesn't really have any filings as of late, but their last filing is letting you know that there's certain directors of the company that are leaving. Jeffrey Gearhart retired. Ex vice president, global governance and corporate secretary for Walmart, was appointed. Oh no, he's joining. Okay, so this guy left Walmart and joined CCL. Yeah, they got a new executive. That was it. That's the news with the 8K. But then you head over to any of these tools. Seeking Alpha, I like Tip Ranks because it gives you analyst breakdown. So CCL, we look at the last 6 months. 930 at the low, 2151 at the high. Average price target of 1442 for the 12 month. It's at 2541 right now. Ratings are all over the place. Buy, hold, sell, 55, 25, 17. Like this thing is an absolute nightmare. Which is why I'm not huge on people actually diving in and playing with that. What else are you guys watching this morning? Energy still leading the way. Snap. Ooh. What is Snap up to? So heading into U.S. election, guys, social media typically does perform well. Snap's up a little bit. It's at its 52-week high. Let's go to the 5 year. Where was this thing? Its 5 year high is 23.19. I don't think this has a lot more room to run to the upside. Um, Later, Hair. Have an amazing day. Good luck out there in those markets. Stay safe. Yeah, 2035. We're getting close to all time highs. Looks like 23.19 is the all time high. And it's 2035 right now. So, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of upside to this. If you were looking for something in social media, I would recommend Twitter heading into an election. I think that's going to do quite well. I think that's got room to come up to this 40, 50, 40, 45 line. I don't know if it ever hit 50. It did. All time high was 65. I would say 40 is reasonable on Twitter. Pinterest is another one. What was it? I think this one has room to go. I think this one belongs up in that 35 range, sitting at 22. I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but there's Facebook. I mean, I think Pins is probably the best bet of them all. I think this has the room to go. It's right in the mid of its 52-week range. I think this has room to go. Procter and Gamble's poor stock. Yikes! Down to 11. This is another one. This bankruptcy is like a giant red flag. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that unless you're playing it to the downside. Okay, Genus 648. Spy's gonna open 320. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Some FDA approvals here just came in. Okay, Cytodine. Cytodine. Let's see what I do. Merck gets another approval. Merck was already right near where I had it pegged. I had an 85 estimate for it on a 12 month. It's sitting at 82, 86. I think, as the approvals just keep coming in. What are my top investment stocks? I don't really have a top investment stock portfolio because every trader is different. And what I mean by that is, if you're a day trader, if you're somebody who wants to be in the market and you want to be in and out, constantly moving on the day, your portfolio is going to be completely different than somebody who's a little bit more long equity like myself, where I'm looking at plays 6 to 18 months down the road, in a very specific sector, right? So my portfolio consists. Here, I'll show you. Here's my portfolio, my long equity portfolio. It's heavily weighted into healthcare, a little bit in tech, a little bit in cyclical consumer. So, well, not a little bit. Quarter of my portfolio in GameStop, but this portfolio that's here is there on a long equity basis. So I'm not looking to make plays on the daily. I'm not looking to show up in the market and buy, 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 sell, sell, sell. The other thing is there are people that trade for decades and decades and decades. So you said that you were relatively young. There's a lot of people who do something that's called a drip portfolio. And for them, that portfolio would look entirely different because what you're looking for would be high dividend stocks, dividends that pay out. So companies like AT&T, or companies like, MRO or MFA is one right now that a lot of people are looking at. MRO has a good dividend. Really, the idea of what's a good portfolio look like, is really dependent on who you are as a trader. And you need to figure that out of what do I want to trade on? Am I trading on decades? Am I trading on months? Am I trading on years? Am I trading on days? Am I trading on minutes? Am I trading on seconds? So the thing with AT&T is that it's stable. So it's all about what you're hoping to achieve. Okay, so we can use AT&T. If you're looking for, and I would never make any advice towards any stock on here. I would recommend that you definitely look into all your own stocks. But using AT&T as an example, T. Okay, so they offer a 6.5% dividend. Okay, and what this means is, for every stock that you hold come date of record for their dividend payout, you will receive 6.54% of the value of the stock as a dividend. Now, they've been very consistent with their dividend. If you look at them over a 10-year, 20-year basis, the stock has good continued growth. They've been very stable. So this stock, while it may not have a large growth potential, it does have good potential for consistent yield returns. So you will consistently see a dividend paid out from this stock. So that might not be a bad idea for you. Now, something like MFA. Now, MFA right now has no dividend listed, but before COVID, they had a 10% yield. And right now, with the growth potential for this to go back up over 5, 10, 15 years to that $7, $8 mark, MFA with a 10% yield at $3 is not fantastic. That's 30 cents a share. But as it goes up to $7, well, now you've doubled your yield at half the price. Hopefully that makes sense. So, I mean, you really just, if you type in drip portfolio, you'll see all kinds of stuff that you can use for different drip stuff. We did a quick breakdown, I think, here. So we did this breakdown the other day of what it would look like with MFA when it was at $1.58, how that looks after just 5 years. So this was on an initial 2,000 share investment into MFA, based on its dividend. There not being a dividend, potentially being a small dividend in Q3, and then returning to a 7% yield, maybe not a 10%. So, if I had to guess whether MFA would be around in 15 years, I think real estate doesn't disappear over the next decade. 15 years may be a bit much, but over the next 10, yeah, I think MFA will be around. Um, but yeah, just over 5 years from an initial 2,000 share position, you would end up with initial starting value. Your initial cost would be 3,100. Um, by the end of the 5 years, you would have 1,200 shares. 1,200 shares at a $7 price. 12,000 shares, sorry, at a $7 price, you're going to end up with $77,000. So you're going to have an initial cost of 3,000 to get in on this. And after 5 years, there's potential for gains of 77,000. So this one was a big opportunity at $1.58. Now at $3, it's still not. You'll see that I set an estimate for $4 for Q3. We're already headed towards that. I think 7 by Q4 is reasonable. I don't know that it explodes much past that, but the opportunity is definitely there for a drip portfolio. Um, yeah, definitely. Okay, what else we got going on? Pre-market, new CFOs, Thor beat. This is RVs, guys. So this is one of the plays that we had talked about that as we are coming out of COVID and travel looks like it's going to be domestic, people are going to be taking local vacations instead of distance vacations. Um, RVs and things like were more likely to shine. Thor was one of the players on that. Sanofi's got presentation upcoming, so there's possibility for that to go. What else we got? Uh, American Airlines is looking to cut its executive. So GameStop is an extremely high risk play, guys, and if you have not done extensive due diligence into it, I recommend that you stay away from it. Um, so there's the 10-year chart on GameStop. It declined from 56 down to where it currently is at 418. My play on this is into Q4 and the next gen systems dropping. So as the PlayStation 5 and whatever they're calling the Xbox, as those start to progress and come out, GameStop positioned itself well through COVID. They boost their online sales. Curbside pickup was an option. In the event that we see a resurgence again, people have kind of become ingrained to know that GameStop is where they go to get their stuff. They've closed down stores, which is what they needed to do. They were bleeding out of those, and so they've closed a lot of stores. The riots also helped them close a lot of the stores. People vandalizing GameStops has closed those locations, and they probably won't ever be reopened. We've got a board vote happening this week. We've got earnings happening this week. So GameStop is going to look a little bit strong. Now, over the weekend, let's go to the 5 day. Over the weekend, so we got an announcement on the 4th of their preliminary results for full quarter, or their first quarter. And you'll see that we were doing pretty well. Like there was over the week, it was growing. We're up to about 460, and then drop back down to 410. And that's kind of where it finished on the day, was around that 410 mark. And people were looking at me like I'm insane, right? Like why are you in this thing? Why are you in it? It's going to die. Well, look at a pre-market. It's up 30 cents pre-market to 444. or yeah, 444. So I mean, for me, what I see on the Q4 is I see it coming back up to this six, seven, $8 range, and then I'll exit from that position. I may exit sooner. I may exit later. It really depends. But for right now, this is what I'm seeing. And if we head over here, my average price right now on this is USD to CAD 575. So I've got an average price of 429 on it right now. So I'm green on this at the moment. Um, so the room to the downside I don't think is there nearly as much. NAT. Okay, so I would stay away from tankers. Anybody, as far as tankers, the bread and butter of tankers isn't actually the holdings of the tankers, it's building new tankers. And there was a boom of people buying new tankers. I don't think that we see this go much more. I think if you're going to look into the energy and oil sector, there are other plays to be made. I think USO is a play to be made. I think USL is a play to be made. I think MRO is a play to be made. I think Oxy is a play to be made. There's lots of other really good options available to you in the energy sector that aren't tankers. I would say from Nat Tops is the other one, right? Top chips. I mean, I would just stay away from these. Yeah, so VTIQ is one that I've talked about at some length. We broke down um, they're not VTIQ anymore. They're Nikola now. We broke down their 10K announcement of the merger. Here it is. There's the merger. There's them now being Nikola in the news. Nikola goes public. My thoughts on VTIQ are over the next 4 years, they need to take 5 to 8% market share away from somebody in the diesel sector. Given the current state of the diesel industry, I don't see a lot of rapid innovation happening there, just because rapid innovation takes cost and they're not making the money to do it. So, on top of that, they're going to be competing with Tesla, and they're going to be competing with Volvo and Volkswagen. All of them have eco vehicles coming out that are those 18-wheeler trucks. You've got an average diesel truck in the US right now, an 18-wheeler Series 8 diesel truck, 120K is what it costs you for a new one. The Tesla truck is anywhere from 150 to 180K. The Tesla trucks they want to sell you for 225 to 275,000. So at nearly double the cost of a diesel truck, I don't see a lot of people piling into it. On top of that, there's no infrastructure in the US right now for fuel cell technology. It's not like with electric vehicles where we currently have a charge system. There are Tesla charge stations all across the country, which makes being a trucker okay. As far as fuel cell technology, that just doesn't exist. There's no infrastructure for it. There's no repair system for it. There's not even manufacturing plants domestically for it. They are building currently in Germany and shipping them across seas here. So I think that VTIQ is a pump and dump. I think it is a very scary stock for people to be in. I think there's a huge risk to that stock, and I don't see it being able to deliver over the next 5 years. That's my insights on the 5 years. Now, what you guys want to do with it on the day to day, people have been back in here saying, "Well, look at Nicola, you were wrong, right? You were wrong. Look at the 5 days. Look at it." Okay, well, I mean, so this is an IPO. June 4th, they go public. Okay, so they go public and they finish the day 33.84 on their first day. 35.97. Yeah, they're up to 42 today. People are gonna go, look, you were wrong. You were wrong. I'm not talking about the day. I'm talking about the 5 year. I'm talking about the 5 year. I don't know that this company's still around 5 years from now. All right, let's see if anything has changed up here as far as Chesapeake's coming down a little bit. Genus is up a little bit. PCNG popped on the board. AAL is down a little bit. Nikola is down a little bit from first thing this morning. I mean, GME is up 8% pre-market. I'll take that. That's a decent start. Oh man, Tesla's gonna run today on this news, isn't it? I think we can see Tesla make, yeah, it's 9:04. It's gonna run on this cripple China news. Just because people only read the headline, they don't realize that that's back online with March sales. But I mean, Tesla is what Tesla is. So the what we're looking at there is the 920 mark is their high. Um, we'll see how hard it runs today. I mean, pre-market that's not huge, but it's something. It's definitely something. I guess the last thing that I didn't check this morning was the PDUFA calendar. I was in on MFA at $1.83, $1.85. What I recommend you do is take a look at the stock over the last 10 years, do some reading, and come to a conclusion on your own as to where you think the stock could potentially go back up to. And what you should do is when you take a look at a stock, and I'm not going to use MFA, I'll use something else to show you, but let's go. Let's go with something like Genus. Okay. So take a look at Genus, and you have to consider, okay, it's at 594 right now. Let's look at it over the last year, at minimum 6 months, okay? But look at it over the last year and go, okay, where did it like to live? Kind of where's that area that it liked that seemed good for it, okay? And what you'll do is you'll get this and you'll go, okay, well, it looks like somewhere in between here and here is where it liked to live, okay? Now all of a sudden we're up here. And this is just on hype and opinion, right? So you have to do your due diligence. You have to learn why the stock has moved the way that it did. You have to learn what's driving this current growth. And then you need to make a decision on it. What you need to decide is what is the risk to reward? Okay, so for something like Genus right now, if the rumor about Disney buying them out is true, then the reward is potentially up here in the, I would say, 20s. Okay, so from 6 to 20 is the potential growth. So you're looking at about $14 of growth. To the flip side, you're looking at losing from 6 back down to this $1.50 mark. Okay, so you stand to gain 300%, but you also stand to lose 300%. And you as a trader, you need to come up with a decision as to even more than that, 75%. You can't lose 300%. Lose 75%. So you'd have a quarter of what you invested if it goes down to where it is. But you could triple up on this as well. And so you as an investor need to decide what kind of a trader you are. Are you looking for those high risk plays that have potential upside gain but low side gain? Oh, you can lose 300%. Believe you me. That's an option strategy. He's talking about equity. I'm not going to discuss losing everything and more on your options plays. If you're playing uncovered options, yeah, it is possible, but that's why you always put in your penny. Always be safe. Always be safe. Do not sell naked options. What can I tell you? Yeah, you can lose more than 300%. That's true. But that's not in equity trading. In equity trading, you can only lose what you put in. And with this one, for me, it's about a 50-50. It's a coin toss. So for me, I don't really like this. Whereas for something like ACRX, which everybody who's been regularly in here knows is a bit of my golden child, um, on the downside, so again, this is over the 3 years, so we draw the two lines and say, okay, well, where does it like to live? Well, it looks like it likes to live in this area here, right? It likes to live in this area here. Now it's down below that right now, but that's through COVID. So for me, it's like, okay, well, it likes to live above where it is right now. We know that there's a massive deal coming down the pipeline for it. To the downside, how far could it go? Well, it looks like over the last 3 years, the lowest it's got is 75 cents, and that took COVID to do that. So 75 cents, I could lose half of where I am right now. But to the upside, if this goes through, this is a potential $9, $10 stock. Even in its sweet spot, it stands to be a triple up. It stands to be a 300%. So for me, this is worth it. 300% gain for a 50% loss. And even at that, it took COVID to take it down to that level. This looks more appealing to me. Whereas the last one that we looked at, the sweet spot is below where it currently is, right? So it's not that it's wrong. It's just that there are different plays with different layouts, and that's why I always make a point of doing this and using a little bit of technical to reinforce my fundamental analysis on a business. So hopefully that helps, Fury. I'd love to hear what you come up with on MFA as a price target. I think that's going to be it for me today, guys. I am back every morning, 4:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. I'll be breaking down trades like this, helping you guys understand what's going on in the market, as well as any questions you guys have. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. There's nothing else I'm seeing really popping on the radar. So I'm going to get ready to get going on my day. As always, guys, if you missed the start of this stream and you did want to see Echo, if you missed the start of this, I will do a rerun immediately following, so you guys can check that out. If you're not following or subscribed, wherever you may be watching, do so now, and I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. Later.